Need some light in a second. There we go.
Well, as we have light, first of all, a very, very big round of applause for all the films screened tonight and all the filmmakers. And before we move on with calling forward the filmmakers that are here in this screening block, I would like to also have a big round of applause for Jack. It's of course nice to be mentioned that it's amazing how he keeps Indie Film Library alive and organizes this event at the end of the Indie Film Library year to give the filmmakers a stage to present their films. And as many know, not everywhere gives this opportunity to film new filmmakers.
Yo. So, without further ado, because I'm sure everybody is very excited and do not really want to listen to me, but want to hear the winners. But let's give a little stage and spotlight moment to the filmmakers that are here from this screening block. First of all, Noorda. Emily May at Hoen. And if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Sitou Akolly. Is this right? Is there any other filmmaker from this block here, or was this it? Okay, thank you. Well, welcome once again. Congratulations with the screening of your films. I will ask you your first question, and if you were here during the last two Q&As, if you could briefly introduce yourself and your film, and then give the answer to my question, that would be wonderful. So first of all, Noorda, Lunatic was your film, and it was humor, but also it put on a spotlight and light on different and various themes that are very important in our community and our lives at the moment. What inspired you to write this story, but also in such way?
The way itself, it's an improvisation animation, which is quite unusual as a filmmaker to do, especially in animation. Because animation is, you make an idea, a script, and a storyboard, and everything is finished, and then you're a slave for your idea for a couple of years when you try to realize it. But I like the approach of more of a jazz musician, or I like to introduce that into film as a way of improvising while making. But that is a very difficult way of working, because the film fund doesn't like things like that, because you don't have a storyboard, you don't have a script, and so they don't give you money. Well, in this case, I got money afterwards. When I finished the film, I did get some money, which is a nice thing for the idea of improvisation animation. So the idea is completely emerged from a single moment, and that was my great inspiration is Terry Gilliam, and one of his films is Baron von Munchausen, and in it there is this scene on the moon with a planetarium sunk into the moon, And I thought, well, I'm going to make a homage to Gilliam, and with that image I started, and from there the whole film developed, and couldn't help that it went this way.
I'm happy you did. I'm happy you did. I will look to the audience if there are any questions that the audience wants to ask to these makers.
How many years did you work on this book?
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
1.5 years.
Yeah, I
Oh,
understand.
okay.
Yeah. It's incredible. Very, very nice job.
Yeah, it's a film about waste. It
Yeah.
started with waste I found it in the garbage locker of our building, and it's not only about waste in space, but it's made out of waste and recycled stuff.
Yeah.
For instance, the big spaceship was a thing I made when I was still a student on the Art Academy, and my girlfriend at that time liked the spaceship so much, she took it, and when we broke up, I didn't get it back anymore. It took me 40 years to get it back. I finally did it. It was just in time, in the nick of time to enter the film.
Good excuse to see your old girlfriend again.
Yeah, I never saw it afterwards.
And do you have a making of the movie? That would be very interesting.
Photographs, yeah.
Ah, okay. Posted on YouTube or something.
It's on the website.
Ah, okay.
Tropism is our, Tropism AU is our website, and there you can find it.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin. Moving on to Emily. Yours was the waarom stopt hij niet? Why doesn't he stop? Or why doesn't he quit, right? Yeah, why doesn't he quit? It's a film about addiction. Could you elaborate a little more about your journey and what you speak about it in the film as well, but how was your thought process of making this documentary, and if you could briefly also introduce yourself?
Yes. So I'm Emily Hoen from The Hague. I'm a copywriter and filmmaker. Normally for organizations, I just make small movies, and this was my first documentary. And actually, it was at the end of 2023 that I ran into an old acquaintance, and I found out that he was addicted. And I wanted to make a documentary about him to follow his process in getting back to society. But you all have seen what happened, and we got in conflict. And I really wanted to make a documentary. Yes, I was already feeling like I should make something. I also had hired a mentor that helped me, because I was not used in making longer stories, bigger films. And then I did all these research, and I ran into these amazing people like Tamar, who's in the audience here with us. She's the one that has been addicted and is now a very talented and great addiction specialist. And I was very fortunate to have these people to share their stories with me, and in such a great and honest way. So I did a lot of research, but I chose 3 people, and I really wanted to choose Frans Douw also, the man in the end, because he has such a beautiful view on people, and I was moved and touched by that story also.
And towards the end, or the very end, you introduce various people in the squares.
Yeah.
Did you approach them on the spot, or?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yes, that was with Sanne, because the most of the movie I made with my iPhone. But the pictures that you see where I'm in it, Sanne made, and I just approached people and he who wanted to to do it.
Did you ask them? I'm a bit curious about that. Did you ask them about addiction in as well,
No,
or
I just
what?
asked him if we could just have a little chat
Chat.
about their lives and just to get acquainted to each other. And so we did. So of course they asked sometimes. Sometimes they asked what is it for, and sometimes they didn't even ask.
Okay.
Yeah, that's strange, I think. But
they wanted their moment.
yeah, so hey, just why not? Yeah, why not?
Okay, no, very nice. Any questions from the audience?
Actually, yeah, I'm wondering as well, first of all, beautiful documentary.
Thank you.
I'm wondering how was it to make people talk, make people tell their story?
Yeah.
How the challenge of that.
Yeah, it's exciting if someone wants to tell their story, but I also could feel that they really wanted to share their story because for them it was also very important that the subject was is going into the spotlight, the subject of the stigma and the prejudices. So yeah, I think that's why they really wanted to tell the story, and yeah, I just try to be as interested as I really was actually. So yeah, yeah. So,
And just one more that we also, I think everybody wants the recipe. Put it on YouTube on your website.
yeah, sure. Why not? There was another question, I think. Here.
Yes.
No, I was just wondering, did he finally come to dinner?
Well, actually, that's the only thing that didn't really happen yet. But yeah, I think I am going to find him. He's a musician and he's playing in bars and cafes, and I think I will approach him in public first before getting him into my house. And yeah, seeing how he reacts to the movie. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Moving on to Sitou. Am I?
You got it right, you got it right.
Sitou, okay.
A letter and a number.
So Zagbeto, yeah. They are actually portrayed as, guardians of the night, embodying both fear but also protection. How did you? Because at the same time, the Zagbeto is portrayed by a child. How did you play out this contrast out in your film?
Okay, my name, thank you for the question. My name is Sitou Adventus. I'm an architect by practice, but an artist now. After this film.
Yeah.
Where do I start from? First of all, my background was quite unusual in the sense that I kind of was born in France, grew up a bit in Togo where my mom is from, and I lived in 5 countries by the age of 27. So the question of where you're from was always intimidating to me.
Okay.
And so when I started with this film, I went to kind of go back home and to figure out a bit of where I'm from. Because this story was kind of told to us by our grandfathers. You know, they'll get you around the fire and they'll tell you a story about how the moon has spots or how the spider came about with 8 legs or whatnot. But oftentimes these stories are rooted in fear, in some way to kind of protect us from going off too far. And right, and I feel like in every culture I've lived in, everyone kind of had these folklore, folktale stories that kind of serve as a form of guardianship, but portrayed through fear. And I wanted to kind of break that down somewhere that was not so evil or so away from the origin of where the stories come from in a way. Zambeta was not the girl, it was the masked figure. The girl was kind of a portrayal of the community, which is a form of seeking understanding of what things are away from what your parents told you or what your elders told you. So kind of with the film I went to kind of play with the idea of telling the story from a natural point without having to put my own bias into it, if that makes sense.
Beautiful, yeah, wow, yeah. So you went back home and did you approach these characters as actors, or was it more like
which is
you
crazy? Usually every year I go to Togo to spend time with my mom and my friends and family and whatnot. And I always thought about this project, and funny enough, I have 2 cousins of mine, storytellers. and they're known in Togo for telling stories, and they're comedians, you know. So it made the work quite easy. Because part of that tradition I was kind of portraying, which is the griot, which are storytellers. Oftentimes they would tell a story, but they would add their own kind of aura to it, and so that gave me a bit of freedom to work with them, because most of I wrote a script, but what they told was totally different. They freestyled it in a way. And part of the audience that I had, that the kids, everything happened within 3 days. I just drove around the city via a friend, told someone to go to some places, went to some villages, and the mayor of the village, in order to shoot the film, we had to ask for permission, for protection and whatnot. And I remember going to the mayor of the village, and it was just like, "Can you put me in the film? I want to be famous." Bro, I don't have a role for you, buddy. And so I asked him if he had children in the village. And he was like, "Yeah, what age, what sex, what?" Like, it was just like maybe 2 girls, 2 boys. And right on, he just kind of like led me to these 4 kids that I met that day. And it's a shame.
You don't know
I forgot their names. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm going back this summer. I will rectify it. No, but everything basically came off of literally the community. I didn't go with the actor. Even the girl who played the role of the community in some way. Her story is quite deep and something I'm going to talk about more in the website over time. But she was also just kind of, how can I say, someone my mom is kind of taking care of, in a sense. And she has a rough background, so
Beautiful girl.
she is. Like, I didn't write the film for her per se, but when I went there, I kind of let it open to the community, and I think co-creating with community was something that I also enjoyed, because it was my first film ever, and to be able to find ecosystem where I can kind of work with the community to tell their story is quite important to me, and so it was quite beautiful. She's usually a girl who doesn't speak. The year before I came, she wasn't speaking, and the last time I came, she was kind of like a bit more joyful. So the fact that she was just kind of herself in the film, even the smile was not kind of planned. It was just kind of like her being scared at one point, because that's her cousin in the mask. So her kind of getting to a place where I was just standing them to hold the stillness of the movement, and she just started laughing from that, which way the fear went away, and she was able to connect with the person behind the mask. So that was kind of powerful, and it's good that these things happen along the way. But yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah, wonderful. I think we should round up for time and stuff, but I have one more burning question for Robin, actually for all of you, but I'm looking at Jack. I think we should round up. Okay, then I have one more question for each one of you. Robin, you use AI in the film. It's also saying in the credits. How was it to work with AI in general?
Yeah. First of all, I want to introduce Alfred Marseille, the composer. I forgot to do so. And Akolly, graphic designer. AI. I used it for the voiceover. Although the voiceover is my voice, but I learned AI to, because the poem evolved so many times that and corrected versions, etc. It was no way to do that all in the sound studio and get the same sound again, and therefore AI was a good solution. But then again, if I had more budget, I would have done it with real voices, which was a thing Jack mentioned. A perfect compliment for the review.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I also said I'd do it for free if you had a voice role in your next film. So
I'll remember that. And the other part of AI is I used it in between keyframes of animation to speed up the process. And the third is conceptual. It is on a certain moment about AI, and the fisheye lens, which was used by Stanley Kubrick in 2001, Space Odyssey, is the computer which impersonates AI as it is emerging now.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Amazing. Emily, so it's a more personal question from my side.
while watching the documentary, I kind of saw the food coming up more and more and more. And at the end, it was mentioned that there are several types of addiction. Did you specifically think of food to be portrayed as an addiction throughout the documentary, or?
Yes, especially the chips that I like to eat every weekend, and the Coca-Cola that I like to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to point out that everybody has his or hers own addiction, and food is and sugar is really also very addictive. So
Yes, I wanted to point out, thank you.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
also Tamar, it was really amazing to see your journey from that to that, so congratulations to you, and it's amazing, and thank you for telling your story to us.
if I can, I would just like to add to that we are going to organizations to show this documentary, and Tamar is then teaching like the how do you call it?
In a workshop.
In a workshop of for addiction and recovery. She's so that's really nice to do that
Very
together.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Do you come to Belgium too?
Yeah, when? Yeah, love to.
Wow, maybe we can all leave a number.
Sure, yeah.
Well, moving on to Sitou for our last question. What would you say was your biggest challenge into making this film?
That's a good one. I think not trying to put too much of my own bias into it, because oftentimes these are stories that you know, right? So
Right.
trying to find a way. It took me some time to also talk to elders and try to get the right story, because when it was told to me by my grandfather, it came like we were all, everyone till now is very serious on the top, you know. And so for me, it was a discovery of my own culture, although I'm like in my 30s, you know. It was, so being able to tell that film, make the film in a way that isn't just kind of me telling my opinion of it or how I feel about it, because in some way it was a form of healing to myself as well, to hear it from my elders. So the challenge was really, even when I was writing it, I had different ways of portraying the kind of the imagery or the reference that I want to kind of come through to you guys. But I think the luck in that is also meeting people who are not actors and they were really kind of artists in their own craft, and they just took over the story as they did, you know. To be honest, if you tell a story tomorrow, they'll probably tell it differently. And, you know, and so I think that's also the beauty of the form of art they do. You know? So, yeah.
Okay, any questions from the audience?
I do have a question for you actually. I really liked it when the girl smiled.
Yeah.
And
The mass figure.
yeah, because it broke for me the iPad or the ear. It was a very nice touch. And I was wondering at the beginning of the movie, the kids, they tell the older people tell the kids, "We forced you to come." Was there a reason behind it?
Yeah, it's some way in the way that I feel that's more of a personal thing. I feel we have, I mean, maybe from my generation as a millennial, and I guess having my sister and now my niece in some way, I feel there's a disconnection between generations in the sense that we don't oftentimes take time to listen to people who are either older than us or younger. And that's oftentimes the case in Togo, for example, where the elders are just seen as kind of outdated, and the youngs are, and vice versa, the elders don't also approach the kids. And so this was kind of a way to kind of urge people to have a bit more of awareness of their environment and people in their immediate circles, in a sense. Yeah, I think that's kind of what that portrayal was, which is usually elders kind of dragging you by the ear and saying, "Yo, sit your ass down." Kind of thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else you would personally like to share with the audience to round things up?
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh,
Thank you for
very
watching.
welcome. Well, a very big round of applause for these makers.